Welcome to the Becoming You show, where limits get torched and possibility takes the mic. I'm Leah Rowling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to the Becoming You show. I am your host, Leah Rowling, and this is the space where we do the real work of becoming, the inner work, the identity work, the self-leadership work that quietly changes everything downstream from it. So if you're here, there's some part of you that is reaching for more because you know deep down that you're deserving of more. You know deep down that there's a capacity of becoming more. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining in on this conversation. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here for a really long time, I love that you're here, and I love hearing from you. So just know that I'm here with just my producer in my office, and I'd like to think that I'm speaking directly to you right now, folding your clothes or walking on a trail, or and so that's not lost on me. I want to get into it. Irreplaceable. That is the conversation today. And most people want to be irreplaceable, right? We want to be the ones that cannot be replaced. We want to be the ones that they, maybe significant others, spouses, organizations, groups, missions, we want to be the ones that they cannot do this, whatever this is, without, right? The one where our absence would actually be felt, right? It's one of the most human longings there is to matter that much, to be that significant, to know that your presence is not interchangeable with anyone else. And here's the thing that almost nobody says out loud. Wanting it is common, right? Almost everybody wants it. I say that with coaching all the time. Every time I ask people if they think there's benefit to being coached, right? To become better, to become more of who you can be. Everybody raises their hand, but yet when I ask who has one, arms drop. Okay? So everybody, most people, want to be irreplaceable. Becoming is the work. And not a lot of people are signing up for that. Not a lot of people are willing to do that. I know you are, because you're here on this podcast. You're here listening to this conversation. So today we're going to talk about the actual work, what truly makes a person irreplaceable. It has nothing to do with luck or talent or being born special, right? And it has everything to do with how you build it on purpose. So I'm going to start by tearing down what most people think it is, because the common version is not just wrong, it quietly makes you smaller. So when most people try to make themselves irreplaceable, they reach for one of a few things. And almost every single one of them is built on fear, right? Built on ego. And ego will always be your ceiling. It will always be your ceiling. And so what does it look like? It looks like trying to be the smartest one in the room, right? The one with all the answers, the one that knows the most, the one that has the sharpest, most sophisticated take on everything. And being smart is wonderful. But using it to stay irreplaceable is a trap. Because the second someone smarter walks in, your whole identity is on the line. Your whole identity is reconsidered. So you start competing with this person instead of contributing. Okay? And in that competition, you hoard. You hoard what you know. You hold your knowledge close. You keep the keys to yourself, right? They make sure that no one else can do what they do because if everyone could do it, then what would they need me for? It feels like security. It's actually a cage. You've made yourself valuable by making sure no one else can grow around you. And that is not strength, that is a bottleneck, right? And when organizations look, right, to let people go, they let go of the bottleneck. Courses are created in business to talk about the bottleneck, right? The bottleneck is the one that everything has to run through. Every decision, every approval, every question, all of it comes to them. And they tell themselves that's what being important looks like, right? But being the bottleneck is not what important looks like, right? The bottleneck makes everyone wait. If the whole thing falls apart the moment that you step away, you did not build something irreplaceable. You built something very fragile and you tied it to yourself. And I have watched what this costs a person, right? I've watched it. The bottleneck, they cannot take a real vacation because everything waits for them. They cannot get sick. They cannot fully rest. They are drowning in being needed and calling it being important, but their calendar, right? Their their calendar leaves you a hostage and your phone never stops ringing. You built a life where nothing moves without you. And I've seen the exhaustion and the resentment and the bitterness and the stress that they have created on the other side of it. That is not significance. That is a very slow burnout that you mistook for being a value. So the difference here is I really want you to consider there's a difference between being needed and being irreplaceable, and they're not the same thing, right? One of them empties you and the other one fills you up. So that is the heart of this entire reframe, right? The version of irreplaceable, right? The smartest, the gatekeeper, the bottleneck, it's not power. It's not power. And fear can never make you irreplaceable. It just makes you more small and controlling. And so I want to spend the rest of this conversation, right, sharing with you what does it mean to be irreplaceable? And as most of my work, it involves us going inside, right? Where that level of success, external success, being smart, being the bottleneck, being needed is all outside of you. It all requires someone else to acknowledge that in you. This work of being irreplaceable is built from the inside out. It's not about your position, it's not about your knowledge, it's not about how tightly you can hold everything together. It's about you at its core. It's about your character. It's about the kind of person that you have built yourself into quietly over time through the choices that maybe no one saw you make. And so here's the way that I think about it. Irreplaceable is personal power that refuses to stay private. It is everything you have built on the inside, your standards, your steadiness, your follow through, your depth, finally showing up on the outside in how you carry yourself and how you treat people and how you keep your word and how you hold up under pressure, how you regulate yourself emotionally so that you can ground a room, should the room be grounded, so that you can bring enthusiasm to the room, should enthusiasm be required, right? It's not a thing that you do to people so that they cannot replace you. It is who you are made visible that no one can copy because no one has lived in your experiences, right? So I want you to think about the person who was truly irreplaceable to you. maybe a mentor, maybe a grandparent, maybe a boss, a friend, maybe your mom. I promise you, you are not remembering their title. You're not remembering their resume. You're not remembering their GPA. You're not thinking about how much they knew. You were remembering what? How they made you feel, how steady they were, how they showed up, how they made you feel like you're the most important person in the world, who they were when it counted. That is what made them impossible to replace. And it is the exact same thing that will make you impossible to replace. Not for what you know, but for who you are, right? And so I want to talk about what these might be. Like what are the three things that you can build by choice, by practice, to actually become more irreplaceable in your own life, with the people that you love, with the teams that you lead, with the missions and movements and promises that you steward. So, first, you've got to take goals seriously. I know it sounds really simple. I heard this from one of my very favorite mentors, but he says that we don't take the goals of the people in our life seriously enough. Our own included, right? It's the one that most people just skip, right? Take your goals, your own goals, seriously enough. Seriously. Here is what I see constantly, right? People are too loose, they're too casual about their goals. They treat the promises they make to themselves as the most negotiable thing in their life, right? We say we're going to do this, but we don't. We say we're going to work out, and we don't. We say we're going to eat on plan, and we don't. We say we're going to make these calls, but we don't. We would never do that. We would never blow off these levels of commitments to our bosses or to our clients or to our kids or to our spouses. But the commitment to ourselves, that's the one that we renegotiate, right? I was going to get up early, but, right? I was going to start the thing, but I said I would, but. And every time you do that, you are teaching yourself something. You are teaching yourself that your word does not mean anything, that you are not someone who can be counted on by you, that you do not have your own back. And that choice repeatedly creates a pattern. And that pattern creates a level of distrust in you. You cannot build an irreplaceable self on a foundation of broken promises to the most important person in your life. You. You. Irreplaceable people treat their own goals like they are binding, like they matter, like the promise that they made to themselves carries the exact same weight as the promise to anyone else. Maybe, should I dare say more? Because they understand that the relationship they have with their own word is the whole game. It's the whole play. When you can take your own goal seriously, you become someone that you can trust. And when you can become that person, you can take that trust into the world and people will trust you back. Someone who can trust themselves carries themselves completely different in this world. People say that people see in you what you see in them, and you see in others what you see in yourself. So to the extent that you begin having your own back, taking your own goals seriously enough, more seriously, you have a level of trust that is unshakable, right? You become somebody that you will not replace, that you will not abandon. So let's just picture the simplest version of it, okay? You set the alarm for 5 in the morning, right? You meant it when you set it, and then it goes off, and right there, you hold the negotiation. Does it really matter? One day won't hurt. I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it tonight. And whatever you decide, you please hear me on this. Whatever you decide in that 30 seconds, just know that you're not just deciding about sleep. You're not. Actually, it has very little to do with sleep. You are casting a vote on who you are. You are. And you keep enough of those small promises to yourself, and you become someone who keeps their word, somebody that obeys themselves. Break them, and you quietly become someone who expects to let themselves down. Same person, two completely different lives. I've seen it. 30 seconds. 30 seconds away from choice, from choosing, right? The better nature, the pattern of trust, the consistency of commitment, or sleep, in quotes. You get that choice. That is your choice. So you want to become somebody that's irreplaceable? You got to become irreplaceable in your own life. And then when you develop that trust, then, and you take your goals seriously, you begin to matter, then you begin to take the goals of other people more seriously. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you. And then once you do that, once you begin to take your goal seriously, then you begin to explore what are the goals of the 3 or 4 or 5 people that are the most important to you. Do you know what they are? How can you support their growth if you don't know what they are? But again, you are the foundation. How can you support their growth when you're not even supporting your own? So we start there and then watch what happens. Watch what happens. Number two, how to become irreplaceable in your life. You follow through, right? You follow through. The distance between the person that you could be and the person that you are right now is follow through. It's follow through. I'm telling you that right now. It's not talent. It's not a shortage of information. It's not knowledge, right? Let's think about it. You probably already know what to do. You've known it for a while. The gap is in the doing of it again and again, especially on the days that you don't feel like it. And especially when no one would know that you skipped it. That is the part that builds you, not the doing it when you are inspired. Anyone can do it when they're inspired. The follow through that builds an irreplaceable self is the kind that happens in private, on just an ordinary Wednesday, when the feeling is gone and the only thing left is you and your level of trust for the promise that you made to yourself. Do you do it? Do you do it? That's the whole question. Do you do it? Yes or no? Because every time you follow through when it's hard, again, it goes back up to taking your goal seriously enough. The second part is to follow through on it. Every time you follow through when it's hard, right? You are not just getting the task done, check. No, no, you are becoming a kind of person that is different. One whose commitment to themselves means something. And there are very few things rarer or more valuable than a person whose yes means something, right? Means something not just, right, to the person that they are saying yes to, but most important to yourself. Saying yes to you. Yes to you. That can boundary themselves by saying no as a complete sentence, but saying yes to the commitments that you have made to yourself. Yes to the goals that you've declared for yourself. Knowing what it is that you want and going for it. That is how you become irreplaceable, right? Knowing the goals of the people that employ you. What are their goals? Do you know what they are? Knowing the goals of the household, do you know what they are? Again, all of that is completely dependent on you being consistent and having your own back. I've seen this play out. I've seen it. When you don't take your goals seriously, but you take your family's goals seriously, when you say no to you consistently and you say yes to them more frequently, you begin to feel resentful. You begin to be bitter. You deserve better. You deserve better. So, we're going to take your goals seriously. We're going to follow through as a yes or no to these goals, to these commitments to self. And the last thing that I want to offer up on this irreplaceable conversation is this invitation to grow your capacity. Grow, right? This is the one that keeps you from plateauing. Grow your capacity. Keep expanding what you are able to hold. Most people get to a certain level of comfort and then they just stop. They stop reaching, they stop stretching, they stop putting themselves into rooms where they're not the most capable person. And I understand why. Comfort really feels safe, right? But comfort is a cage, right? That comfort feels good. And that's why they say good is the enemy of great. Ordinary is the enemy of extraordinary. The exact place that feels safe to you is the place that you stop growing. And the place that you stop growing is the place that you will slowly start becoming replaceable. Because the world keeps moving, even when you decide to stand still. Irreplaceable people keep growing their capacity on purpose. They take on the thing that is slightly too big for them. They have the conversation that scares them. They stretch into more responsibility, more honesty, more depth, more range. And they do that before they feel ready because they know that the readiness comes from the reaching, not before it. So every time you grow what you can hold, you become a little more rare. You become a little bit more irreplaceable because most people are not willing to leave the comfort to do it. Most people aren't willing to leave the comfort to do it. But you're here in this conversation. So none of these three look like much on any single day. One kept promise, one follow through, one slightly uncomfortable stretch. On their own, they almost look too small to matter. But they do not stay small. They compound. Every promise you keep to yourself, every single promise you keep to yourself makes the next one easier to keep. Every time you follow through, you trust yourself a little bit more. And that trust makes you reach a little further. That trust builds that level of confidence in yourself to reach just a little further. And that reaching grows your capacity, which makes you able to take on more, which gives you more chances to follow through. It is a flywheel. It keeps building on itself. You will not see it day to day. You won't. And that's the hard part and the beautiful part, right? So look at those three. Take your goals seriously. Follow through. Grow your capacity. Notice, right? Notice, again, what's not on the list. It's not about being the smartest. It's not about hoarding. It's not about controlling, right? All three are completely available to you, right? None of them require you to have been born special or lucky or gifted. You do not need also permission for any of these three, right? You just need to decide. You just need to decide. Wanting to be irreplaceable is common. I'll end where I started. But actually doing it is the work. It's the work in doing it. And so I will leave you always with an invitation, right? Building this, the goals that you take seriously, the follow through that nobody sees, the capacity to keep growing. You can do it on your own. I just told you could. Doing it with people is so much more fun. And it will expedite your progress, right? We live in an Amazon world. We want results just like this. You get those exponentially when you join a community where we hold you accountable to the growth, to the follow through, to the capacity, to the goals. that you have for your life. So if you're not in our membership, if you're not in the leadership lab, if you're not with us, join this month. Make this be the month that you stop just listening to me talk about the lab and participate. Get in there with us so that we can all help each other become irreplaceable in our lives. We all deserve that. If this rang true to you, share it, comment, like on it. Let me know what landed for you. And I will see you next week. Have a beautiful one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrollingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you and keep becoming.